again. It's a rich thing.
Welcome back to another video, guys. So, continuing from where I left off on my last video, where I removed my nails and prepped them ready for another set. So, I've got just 4 products. I'm going to do a set of Polygel nails today. I'm using Born Pretty Pearl Pink, my favourite colour Polygel from Born Pretty. Beautiful colour. And 2 little liner gels from Crediu. So the pink one is out of the second kit that they did, which has got neon and glow in the dark colours in there. Gorgeous colour. And this greeny turquoisey one is out of the pastel third kit that they did. And this Mylar has got like matching colours to the little liner gels. It's got a pink and like a turquoisey green going through it. Perfect match for those little colours. And I've pulled out a holographic ultra fine white. This came in a collection of 12. I'll leave links in my description box to everything that I use today as well, guys. So I'm going for just long coffin tips. So I'm going to be sculpting. I have not sculpted using Polygel for so long. So that's the tips that I'm going for. Nothing too long. So I don't really need to do any prep. If you want to watch how I do all my removal and prep, that is in my previous video. I'm just buffing off the shiny surface. And I'm going to get these nail tips glued straight on. So I'm just using regular brush on nail glue. When you glue your tips on as well, guys, always make sure you squeeze them in at the sides like that, because them side wings can stick out sometimes. So always make sure you squeeze those side bits. So that's them all glued on. I'm not going to take anything off the length. I'm just snipping the tippy tips off. These tips are curved. So I'm just literally snipping a little bit off just to get them really straight, like a perfect straight coffin. And then I'm just going to quickly fly over with my file. Mostly the side wings, I like to file them right down. And just blend that tip in with my natural nail. And then I'm going to buff off all the shine on those nail tips. Right, so I'm using Born Pretty dehydrator and Born Pretty primer. Really good dousing of the dehydrator, and then just a tiny little bit of the primer. And this primer air dries, so just give that a few seconds to air dry. And then I'm just going to give them a really nice thin coat of Born Pretty base coat and cure that in the lamp. Guys, can I just say as well, I absolutely loved how these nails turned out. And I'm going to go as far as saying I think it's the favourite set I've done on my own nails this year so far. I absolutely loved them. Right, so let's get on with it. So I'm starting with my pinky, and this is just going to be a full nail. So I've put a blob of the Polygel on my nail, and I'm starting with my cuticle. I'm just tucking it in, getting it as close to my cuticle as I can without touching any skin, and keeping it close to my side walls. Concentrate on my cuticle and my side walls. And once I'm happy with the cuticle area and the side walls, I'm just going to start patting it and swiping it and pulling it. However you want to do it, just pat it and pull it and keep swiping up and down the sides of that tip, so you can keep the Polygel the same shape as the tip, so you don't have lots to file once it's cured. Just keep swiping up and down the side of that tip. Keep the Polygel the same shape, like I just said. I don't know why I repeat myself. I do it all the time. One thing I did notice with this Polygel, and I know it's not the Polygel because I've used this tube, it's nearly empty, I've used it a lot. I think it might have been the slip solution I was using or something. I kept getting white chalky bits. This pinky wasn't too bad, but the pointer and the thumb, yeah, I kept getting really like white chalky bits. You can see it a little bit around my cuticle there. I'm not sure what that was. It's definitely not the Polygel because, yeah, I've used it quite a few times and it's never done that before. So I don't know what was different today. I think Maybe the alcohol, I've diluted it myself. Maybe I did something. I'm not sure. So that pink has had a 60 seconds cure. And I'm going to do exactly the same on this pointer finger. I'll just show you this one more. They're all going to be the same except the middle nail. We're going to do a nail bed on that middle nail. So I'll just let you watch this for a sec. So that's them nails built. I did go in and file them off camera today, guys, because it's a bit of a long video. Can you see the little white chalky bits that I kept getting? I don't know what that was. Yeah, it was just my pointer and my thumb where that seemed to happen. No idea. Anyway, let's get on with it. This middle nail is going to be a little bit of an extended nail bed. So it's always better to start with a nice rounded blob when you're doing a nail bed. So same as the other nails, I'm tucking it in my cuticle area, but I'm not tucking it down my side walls this time. I'm going to start swiping down those sides just to bring it in a little bit as far down as I want that nail bed to be. I did want it to be quite short. I ended up pulling it down a little bit too far, so I did squish it back up the nail a little bit just to shorten it. And yeah, just keep swiping it in at the sides and rounding it off. They are quite easy to do, and the neater you can get it now, the easier it makes it when it comes to filing. Can you see there, I've just pushed it a little bit further back up the nail to shorten it. I didn't want it that long. I wanted room in the tip to be able to do the little design that I was going to do. And looking at it, I thought, no, it's too long, so I shortened it a bit. So they've all been cured now in the lamp, so I'm just going to quickly file this nail bed. So I always start by filing straight over the top. It just helps me see the edges when they're all white and chalky. And then I'm just going to neaten up those sides and get those sides really nice and straight. So that was the nails filed and buffed, but right on the tip of this smile line, just above the smile line, I had a teeny tiny little air pocket, and it was really bugging me. Out of all the places it could have been on all 5 nails, it chose to be right on the end of my extended nail bed. I tried to file it and buff it out, but yeah, I just couldn't file it anymore. It would have got too thin, so I ended up just having to leave it. You don't really see it. So I'm using those little gel liners now, and I'm using the turquoise, and I'm painting it right up the side of that nail bed. And when you paint the side of nail beds like this, always paint right over the top, because when you come to file it later, it gives you that nice even band all the way around. So if you look, I always paint right over the top of it. I'm not going to cure this gel. I'm going to leave that wet, and I'm going to paint the bottom half in the pink, and I'm just going to ombre them together. I'm just going to use a little detailer brush and just swipe side to side and just mix those colours slightly. I didn't need the ombre to be perfect because I'm going to be covering it with bits of Mylar, but I did want them to be slightly ombreed. So I'm just swiping side to side, and that lint-free wipe, I just keep wiping any excess off my brush. When my brush gets a bit bulked up with gel, I just wipe it off and just blend them a little bit, and that's going to get a double cure just because the gel's a little bit thick. So I'm going to do exactly the same now on the pinky and the pointer. I'll just show you this pinky. Obviously there's no nail bed on this nail, so I'm just doing the ombre kind of halfway up the nail. It would have helped if I put base coat at the top, because I didn't have anything to blend the green into. I managed to do it alright, but if I was doing this again, I would have put a base coat above that green, just so I had something wet to blend the green into, because I'm blending it up into that dry, buffed polygel. So it did make it a bit more difficult, but it was fine, and I'm putting Mylar, bits of Mylar over it, so it didn't need to be perfect. But yeah, definitely next time I think I'll put a wet base coat above that colour, just so I've got something wet to blend it into. So just like the other nail, that's going to get cured for 60 seconds, and yeah, I've done the same on the pointer as well. So that's that pinky cured, and the pointer and thumb, I forgot about the thumb, that's the same, I've done them off camera. So this is the Mylar. This was perfect. It just had a really nice subtle pink and turquoisey colour shift going through it. It was perfect. So again, I'm using just a wet base coat. I've not cured that base coat, I've left it wet, that's why it's wet. And I'm just putting a sprinkle in the middle of the nail. I didn't want it at the tip and I didn't want it at the cuticle, just a little sprinkle. And every nail is going to be the same except this middle nail. I'm just going to do a little kind of fade. I'm going to push that Mylar right up the sides of that nail bed wall, and I just want to kind of sprinkle it off down the nail. I didn't want any down at the tip, and I didn't want to cover up that ombre really. So I've just done a little sprinkle right up against the wall of that extended nail bed and just faded it off with a few of the tinier bits. Right, so I'm just going to encapsulate these Mylar pieces now. I'm using, I think, yeah, it was a builder in a bottle that I used. You could do a couple of thick layers of base coat or a thick top coat and give it a buff afterwards. I just used a clear builder in a bottle just to get all these Mylar pieces encapsulated, so that once they're cured I can buff those nails and get them really smooth again. But with the middle nail, obviously I needed to finish building this nail. It's only got a nail bed, so I'm using the Born Pretty clear extension gel for that, and I'm just going to fill the free edge of this nail. Make sure you get that gel right up the sides, because there's nothing up those side bits either. And yeah, just completely fill the rest of that free edge, and then they're all going to get a 60 seconds cure. Right guys, so I'm just quickly going to show you filing this middle nail with the nail bed. So I'll start like I always do, straight up my sides and get my sides really straight. And then I'll start at my cuticle area. Just make sure my cuticle area is blended in as nice as I can get it with my natural nail. And then I'll just start swiping over the top of that nail, up and down, making sure there's no lumps, no bumps. And I like to get it nice and rounded off at the edges. And this is why I always paint over the top of that nail bed. So when you come to file it like now, you end up with that perfect even band around the nail without any gaps. I used to get gaps and I never knew why. And it's because I wasn't painting it right up to the top of that wall. So I just started painting over the top of it, and it works out brilliantly. You end up with a really nice band of colour, even all the way around. And I'm so sorry if you just heard my dog wrestling with one of my pillows in the background. That's what that was. She likes to wrestle with the pillows on my bed. She's gone now. Right, so that is that filed and buff. Look at that little air pocket, guys. Really annoyed me. But you end up not seeing it towards the end. So I'm going to get these top coated now using my favourite top coat, Born Pretty Super Top Coat. You cannot beat it. So I'll just let you watch this for a second, and then we're just going to add a few little swirls to this ring finger. So we're going to go over the top of this glossy top coat now with some of the pink and the turquoise colour. And I'm just going to do one pink swirly line going like that. I wanted it thick at the top and I wanted it to really thin off towards the tip. And I'm going to do the same with the green as well, but going in the opposite direction. The green's going to be thick at the bottom and then I'm going to thin that off as it goes up the nail. And both of these colours are going to get sprinkled in the ultra fine holographic glitter that I showed you at the beginning. I'm going to sprinkle that glitter into the wet gel and then cure them. Right guys, so just a bit of bling left now, so I'm just using some transparent AB gems and a couple of pink and turquoise little flower charms and some caviar beads. So I'm just going to let you watch this last bit guys and I'll be back at the end. So there we go guys, that is them finished. I love these. I wish I had time to do them on my other hand and have a full set. I definitely think this is maybe the favourite set I've done this year, or it's definitely up there in my top 3. I really like the length, the shape, the colours, the bling, everything about them. Anyway guys, that is it for today. Everything I've used as always will be in my description box. Please remember to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already, and hopefully I'll see you all back in my next one. Take care, bye.